Hey everyone, Bruce Eckfeldt here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so we can let you know when the next video is posted. You can also check us out at eckfeldt.com for more great content. With that, let's go check out the video.
You're listening to Scaling Up Services, where we speak with entrepreneurs, authors, business experts, and thought leaders to give you the knowledge and insights you need to scale your service-based business faster and easier. And now, here is your host, business coach Bruce Eckfeldt.
Welcome everyone, this is Scaling Up Services. I'm Bruce Eckfeldt, I'm your host. And today we're here with Stuart Silverman, who is CEO and founder of RaterB. And we're going to find out a little bit more about what RaterB does. And I'm excited because this is really an interesting approach to collecting data around experiences. Stuart and his team are tackling some really important issues and creating some interesting technology. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Stuart, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks a lot, Bruce. Really appreciate being here.
Yeah. So why don't we start? I always like to have guests give a little bit of a background on professionally, kind of how did they get to what they're doing today. There's always a story there. And I'd love to hear yours and have you tell our audience kind of what got you to RaterB.
Super. So I like to tell people I'm a third generation retailer. I've got a picture here on my desk of my grandfather's two sisters, Fanny and Rose, at the family dairy store in the Lower East Side of New York in like the early 1900s.
Wow.
So it's kind of been in the blood.
It's in your blood. Yeah, exactly.
It's in the blood. And I didn't realize it. So my dad was in the supermarket business, all right? And he was in the 50s and 60s. He was one of those guys who was taking supermarkets all out through the country.
Yeah.
Right. And he was actually the head of warehousing and transportation. And I remember being a kid on Sunday mornings and reading, he's sitting in his big chair in the living room and the sun's streaming in and he's reading his supermarket news.
Yeah.
The weekly paper.
Is that still out there? I don't even know if that publication
as a digital publication now. And so he'd finish it, throw it on the floor. I'd pick it up and go through the supermarket news. Checking out what stores open, what stores closed. So it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went to architecture school. We shared something there.
Yeah.
I went to architecture school and learned all about design and what constitutes elegant design and good design. But when I got out of school, it was not a good time to be in the building business.
Yeah.
And my dad said, we're really at the early stages of adding computers to help us do a better job in our businesses. I know a guy.
I know a guy that knows a guy.
I know a guy. And so I started working for a guy who built the first commercially available warehouse management systems for high volume retailers.
Wow.
And it just went on from there. I really enjoyed it. And turned out that the things that constitute an elegant design in architecture really constitute elegant design in systems.
Yeah.
It's just really a different language.
Yeah.
It's a different language.
Exactly.
So I've been doing that. And for years, I've worked with software companies, consulting companies, bringing new systems and opportunities to retailers, helping them do a better job, helping them be able to work at the speed of retail and be effective. And so the last couple of years, I've said I wanted to do stuff on my own. I got tired of doing the enterprise-wide inventory management applications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what can we do to improve service in stores, in retail stores?
Yeah. Because
we've all gotten into stores and gotten terrible service delivered by ineffective associates who really don't care about being there.
Yeah.
That's not what's important to them. And that's really hurting brick and mortar retail.
Yeah.
It's really hurting brick and mortar retail. I think that what the industry has come to the conclusion of the past 12, 18 months is in order for brick and mortar to be able to compete, they have to offer great customer experiences delivered by engaged retail associates.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, you're going to shop elsewhere.
Yeah.
You may shop on the internet. You may go to a place of a better experience. But if you don't have that, you're dead. You're sunk. Yeah. And so we're thinking, well, how can we improve that customer experience? How can we get associates to be more engaged? And we did a lot of stuff. I did a gamification startup a couple of years ago where we made an effort to gamify the work at retail stores.
Okay.
In the end, you really can't base a business on gamification.
Mm-hmm.
Gamification is like a UI. It's like a user interface. It's about how do you motivate people to do stuff they weren't going to do already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something you build a business around, and I learned that the hard way. At any rate, the key about gamification is that you need to set goals.
Yeah.
You need to measure progress against those goals, and then you need to reward, right? Well, the thing that we came to the realization that we weren't able to measure was that interaction between customers and sales associates.
In the store, that in-store experience that they have. Yeah.
We couldn't measure that.
Yeah.
So that set us back, and we did a whole lot of thinking about ways that we could do that, looked at different kinds of tools, and in the end, we've come up with something really actually very simple. And it's the base of what we're doing in our company, RaterB, today. So imagine you're in a store, you've done your shopping, you bought a pair of jeans, you come back to the register, point of sale, and while the associate is ringing the sale up, there's a screen there, a monitor, tablet. It says, who helped you today? Well, how many times have people asked you who helped you today? And you said, oh, I don't know. It's that guy back there, with the black shirt. So what we're doing is there's a tablet that says, who helped you today? And the pictures of the people in the store. The pictures. Oh, I recognize Josh. He helped me.
Yeah.
So I press Josh's picture. It comes back and says, well, Josh says, well, how did I do today?
Yeah.
And then we have a series of, and it's a 4-star rating, and then a series of best practice behavior buttons. Greeted me, helped me find what I really wanted, showed me some other stuff that goes with this pair of pants, and a series of things that, for every retailer, they're going to have a different set of things that they want that they consider to be best practices, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like 15, 20 seconds while the shopper is waiting for the associate to ring it up, fills out a quick survey. It's done while they're there. It's part of the process, and they're gone.
Yeah.
And now we've got all of this data, all of this associate performance behaviors data that we've never had before.
Yeah.
And we can use that to coach and train associates. So we just did a pilot project with a high-end men's retailer, a store and a high-end men's retailer. And it was about a month or so, and we had the shoppers fill out these little survey forms. And it was shocking that it really highlighted that there were 2 or 3 associates who were consistently getting bad ratings. Yeah. So here we are, we're an upscale men's apparel store, and there are associates out there who are not living the brand.
So what was the interpretation of the data, and then what was the action or the decisions that it helped support?
So the data came back is we had 4-star ratings, 1 through 4, and then a series of, did they do this? Did they do this? Did they do this? And then a free-form text message. Okay. And for this one guy in particular, he wasn't getting high ratings.
Okay, so he was getting low stars.
He was getting low stars, and he was getting comments like, this guy must be new. Oh,
interesting.
Geez.
and I guess he wasn't.
And I don't know if he was or not.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
But he was acting like he was new,
But when I talked to the manager, he said, I had a suspicion that he wasn't living up to what he needed to do. Yeah. Here's the data. Oh my God, here's the data.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we've created this tool that allows shoppers to be able to tell us what they think about the associates who are helping them.
So I'm curious in terms of, as you've gone through iterations of this product, what are some of the challenges that you've kind of discovered and had to grapple with or overcome? Because fundamentally, it just seems it's one of this almost like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, right? It's like I can either serve someone or I can know how I served, but I can't do both, right? Like asking the question can often interfere with the actual delivery of the service, or the act of collecting the data can interrupt the service. So you've chosen kind of do it immediately post sign. But tell me about some of the iterations and how you've...
So it's while they're still in the store.
Yeah.
So what's been interesting is some of the iterations really are key about the placement of the tablet where we collect the data.
Okay.
In one iteration, we had the associates actually handing a tablet to the shoppers saying, please fill this out. Yeah. And what's been interesting is we haven't gotten any pushback on filling it out, but it interrupted the sales process.
Yeah, exactly.
It interrupted the sales process.
Actually, let me ask on that one too, because I'm curious. In that case, did you find that the fact that the sales associate was kind of handing the tablet would end up skewing the data or skewing the feedback? It's like, well, now I've got this, I'm doing it in front of them, or there's a little bit more of a relationship pressure there, or a interpersonal pressure to actually give feedback. Did you find that, or what was the?
Well, I don't know, but what we did find out, Bruce, was that the associate became a gatekeeper. The associate didn't always want to give the tablet to the shop, right?
Yes.
So maybe
I'm only going to give it to the people that I think are going to give me good ratings.
Right. So we've now moved to just setting it up on a stand, and we're going to see how those tests work out. Now, we do that. We also do that at a place that you're very familiar with. There's a dance studio that we did some work with in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And they've mounted the tablet at the reception desk. And as the students walk in and out of their classes, they leave comments about their experience.
Yeah.
And the management of this group, every Monday in their management meeting, they review the results. Wow. They review the comments and then cut and paste the comments and send them off to the people who those comments were about.
So based on the instructor or the person who gave the class and stuff, yeah?
Correct.
And what do you think they've noticed, or what kind of changes in either decisions or insights or approach? Like how has it changed what they do?
I'll never forget sitting with the owner when we first introduced it. And she said she was going through the comments about on an individual, and she said, "Oh no, I didn't want to see this." She said, "I told this person that if they had one more bad review about her, that she was gone." Yeah. And there it was sitting in her face.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, but on the other hand, I also see it like, oh, what a blessing, right? What a great tool, because now I've got, real data, real comments from real customers, and it's no longer me as manager trying to make this judgment call. Yes. And it's more of, look, I'm just looking at the data. The data is forcing the conversation, not.
Yeah, I agree with that. I spoke with a woman who was managing one of the cosmetics desks on that first floor in Macy's. Macy's 34th Street.
Yep.
They have all those. So she was working for one of the cosmetic suppliers. She was the head of the group. Yeah. And she looked at this and said, "Oh, I really like this because it's data now and it's not subjective."
Exactly.
She said, "The people that I manage are going to react much more positively to a customer saying you were slacking off than me as their manager saying you were slacking off, because that's more subjective."
Yeah. Well, I would say it's still subjective, but it's now the customer's subjectivity. Not mine as a manager. Correct. Which is all that really counts.
Right. That's what really counts.
Yeah. So in terms of collecting the data, talk to me about how you came up with the rating scale, what other scales you looked at, like how you kind of balance the amount of work it takes versus the kind of quality of the data. I mean, how have you kind of iterated on the actual feedback process itself, or the design?
We're still learning from that, Bruce. To be honest, we're still learning from it. The key though is that we're looking at a 4-star rating. Yeah. Most times you look at your ratings, you got 5 stars, right? Yeah. Or you got the 9-star thing. Yeah. Right? Which I hate. Yeah. Because they only look at when you really look at that, they only look to see if it's top 3 or anything below it is a problem. Why not just? So I was speaking with a retail manager, and who said that they would do ratings surveys within their store, and they always made sure that they had an even number of stars.
Yeah, you want to get rid of the middle. Yeah,
get rid of the middle.
Yeah.
Right, because people just check off because they don't want to think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just take the middle one. So let's make it positive or negative, even number of stars.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, you start to get into the whole psychology aspect of customers and feedback. And if you give people the out of the middle star,
they'll take it.
People will often take it. Yeah.
So I did some work with another retailer here in the city, a sports retailer. And they have one of those surveys at the bottom of the register tape. It says, go to this URL. Yeah. Chance $300 gift certificate. Yada, yada, yada.
The highlighter they always use to highlight the URL. Yeah.
Nobody does that shit.
Exactly.
But okay, so I was talking with the customer service manager there, and he said, people actually do fill this out. And he says, I'll look at every one. It turns out that they average maybe 1 or 2 responses per store per month.
Oh,
Which is ridiculous. But he said, when I go through them, I can tell when they've given up on being serious. And they just want to rush through to the end so that they can get qualified to be entered in the contest.
Actually, I should know that if there's really that few, that means I have a pretty good chance of winning one of these certificates.
I said the same thing.
I'm starting to fill those out.
Oh, I'm starting to fill them up, but you know what? I haven't won one yet, and I'm really questioning.
I'm going to automate it. I'm going to automate a system that fills it out multiple times. But yes.
Right. Right. So, but what we have found is that people, and this surprised me, that people are eager to leave extended free-form text comments. That surprised me.
Yeah.
And what we're finding is that by giving them choices on these behavior buttons, best practice behavior buttons, they have a choice. They can just hit a couple of buttons and they're done.
Yeah.
So they can get in and out quickly.
Yeah.
And that is in such contrast with the web-based surveys that are, the URL at the bottom of the register tape. They're 20, 30, 40 questions. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You have to be able to get in quickly, easily, while it's still top of mind, and that seems to be working out for us.
Because it seems like there's some kind of graph of where there's the intersection of the amount of data I can collect and the number of people that will actually respond. Do you sense, or do you suspect that that graph changes by the nature of the transaction? Like if I'm buying a pair of jeans, I might be willing to answer 2 or 3 questions versus if I just bought a $60,000 car, I might take 5 minutes. What's your thought on that, or either in terms of what you've seen or what you suspect? I
think it's going to change by retail type.
Yes.
I hadn't really thought about the car situation, but when you're buying a pair of jeans, yes, it's going to be a lot different than when you're buying a diamond ring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the nature, it just seems like the amount of data that you have, the actual richness of the interaction, if it's a much more sort of consultative selling process, I'm going to be able to make a lot more comments.
Well, certainly on our initial past here, we are not working with mass merchant self-service types of retailers.
Yeah, okay.
We're really focused on retailers where there's a level of associate support in helping you find the best thing. Mm-hmm. And whether that best thing is a pair of jeans or a microwave oven or a pair of shoes, those are the things that are going to allow the retailer to be successful.
Yeah. And I think that
providing a great experience.
I mean, the classes, I think this kind of the classes, massages, things like that, where it is, you don't have a product, you don't have kind of this hard good that I can kind of base this thing around and is kind of that's really what people are buying, and the service is kind of icing on the cake around it. But these things where the service is literally what is being delivered and what people are paying for. I mean, knowing exactly how that's going seems huge. I mean, if I had, I can imagine all the different kind of businesses that are these, service type businesses that have no sense what's actually happening in the class. Or they may be able, I can go in as an owner, I could survey a class, I could take a class with someone, but look, my being there is going to skew the instructor, and I can't get inside the other students' heads, right? I don't know what they're thinking. I can just see what's happening in the class. Having a tool that actually got the insights to the results of that experience, what was the takeaway for folks and what did they feel around it, seems like gold if I can really get into that.
Yeah. I mean, so think about the refrigerator repairman. Think about the lawn service, the pool service, right? Think about the DMV.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't want to think about that. Actually, I must say, DMVs, I don't know if you've had to do anything in the last couple of years. I've been impressed. They have done a much better job. I remember going 10, 15 years ago, and it was that classic nightmare. But, a couple times now I go and they've got, tickets and numbers, and I get in and out of there pretty quickly. So they're thinking about this stuff. But if they could get better data.
So I did go to the DMV somewhere in the last year, and that whole ticketing system went down.
Failure in the process.
That whole number system went down.
Chaos.
And it was so funny because they knew what to do. They knew what to do. So for each section, they had us sit in seats by our numbers.
Wow. So you got a number, but they didn't have that. They couldn't call it. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Wow. So either it
Anyway.
means someone who has had a lot of foresight, or this happens more often than you care to know.
Not,
Oh. So thinking through it, just, for people listening to this episode and kind of they're in these kind of either service-based businesses or businesses that have this kind of real kind of customer service element to them, what are the options do you think they're currently considering? I mean, you mentioned the URL on the receipt. Like, what are the other things people are thinking about? And then, sort of position yourself relative to these other ones in terms of people that should think about you.
So let me talk about two areas. One is the customer satisfaction survey.
Okay.
Which is the URL at the bottom of the register tape, and you go out to a website, right? And they focus principally on the shopper's experience from a marketing perspective.
Oh, okay.
So did you find what you were looking for? Did you have enough time? So it's all about the shopping experience, but it's from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is sure, we're doing that marketing stuff, but it's much more operations oriented.
Yeah.
What did you people do? How can we do it better? Let's do feedback so that we provide the data and the results to store operations.
Yeah.
Not to the VP of marketing, but to the head of store operations and this store manager and the regional director, because they're all responsible for making it happen, right?
Yep.
They're responsible for the training, the making sure that they meet their numbers. So that's what we're focused on. This is so different from what the traditional customer satisfaction survey is about.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, on the other side of the platform is the mystery shoppers.
Yeah, exactly.
The mystery shopping programs, right? So a mystery shopping program, in case anybody doesn't know what it is, they hire people to go into a store with a list of things to check out, right?
Yep.
And then they come back. And at some time in the future, 2 weeks, 4 weeks down the line, the retailer will get a report as to what the mystery shopper found. So we think that, in some ways, we are making everybody a mystery shopper.
Yeah.
And letting the associates know that they are being rated by everybody who's a mystery shopper.
Yeah.
All right. So it's totally different. The mystery shopping thing is just not scalable.
Yeah.
People can really only afford to do it once a month per store, maybe, or hire people to come in for a promotion to see how it's being handled. Mm-hmm. It's very event based.
Yeah.
What we're doing is it's like for the price of one mystery shopper in a store, we're giving them the ability to collect a steady stream of customer feedback data for that store.
Yeah.
That the associates and the managers can then use to do a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about which industries you're focused on right now, what segments you're going after next. I mean, where are you looking to kind of build traction around this and kind of application?
Sure. Initially, we are going after specialty retail, apparel, shoes, everywhere where there's a sort of a consultative sale. In the store. We're not, as I said before, we're not going after the mass merchants. We're not going after self-service retail, but those are the kind of folks we're dealing with. So the projects we've run this past summer have actually been in apparel, 2 men's operations. One is the one I mentioned to you before, and the other is actually a digital native men's apparel retailer.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Who is now moving into brick and mortar stores.
Yep.
And so here's another use case for the application is that they were looking to get customer feedback on new processes that they were trying out in their stores.
Yeah. Being able to get data, it's coming out of the agile space. I'm all about collecting data and then responding to data by changing and pivoting your product and features and qualities and things like that. So, this seems like a great tool where, I could literally get pretty much real time. Like I know within a couple of hours.
No, it's real time.
Yeah.
It's real time.
Yeah, no, but I could literally make changes. I could come in the next morning with a new plan saying, okay, hey, look, based on yesterday's data, we're going to try doing it this way. Let's start with these questions. Let's do this. Like we want to, I could see, people that are really thinking about innovating in the customer experience space for retail, literally being able to say day by day, all right, we're going to try different ways of doing this, getting feedback, seeing if it works. So I think I think it's a great tool for, just being able to evaluate performance at an individual sales associate level and stuff like that. But actually from an organization level, it gives me data on my systems, my policies, my processes, and I could actually, do iterative design of my experience design from a retail point of view. It's a really powerful application of this.
Yep.
Excellent. Stuart, we're going to hit time here. If people want to find out more about you, about RaterB, how do they get more information?
Sure. Well, they can go to the site. It's raterbee.com, RATERBEE.com. or you can send me an email at Stuart, Stuart, at RaiderB.com.
Great. Now I'll make sure that email address and the link is on the show notes here so people can click through. Stuart, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking some time to be on the show.
Enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
You've been listening to Scaling Up Services with business coach Bruce Eckfeldt. To find a full list of podcast episodes, download the tools and worksheets, and access other great content, visit the website at scalingupservices.com. And don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter at scalingupservices.com/newsletter.